Okay. Um. Hello everyone. Without wasting much time, so let me see. Let me go on live. Okay. We'll be starting in next let's say 2 minutes from now. Okay. So the reason is I'm just checking out my camera if they're okay. At least on the YouTube side. Okay. 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 So let's start with today's program without wasting much time. Okay. The first thing we'll be looking at is gold before we go back to BTC. So we'll be looking at gold first, and we'll be looking at it from higher time frame, right? From higher perspective. So the first thing you have to understand is this. This was the entry I took that was yesterday, right? And the market hit me at break even on that trade. So here, the first thing is this. We understand that market broke structure to the upside right here, created some range structure right here, and this is called range structure, which you can see. After that, market came back to this support level right here within this imbalance. And we can see this imbalance clearly. All right, that is one major area market can use to give us a bullish expansion. After that, we have a short-term break of structure right here, and I'm using this as inducement or as liquidity market tool, which was kind of like old low, right? Old low. So since this is an old low and this is the low that took out this old low, we had break of structure to the upside right here. So with this break of structure, this is giving us an idea that we'll be buying the upside on good. That's the first thing. The next thing is where will you buy from? So that is another major thing. And the reason why I expected this low to hold price the upside to make at least to take out this level is because of engulfing. All right, market engulf this structure high. That is one thing. But right here we can see how market rejected this resistance level. Daily rejection. All right, this is daily rejection with balance right below it. All right, daily rejection. Now with that in mind, and market is coming from an imbalance, it's heading to another imbalance, which is this. So that is what market has done so far now. Since market now has filled the full imbalance or the full price structure range, the next thing we expect of price is a buy. So one thing I'm expecting of price today is a CRT reversal. If it happened today, then tomorrow we start looking for a buy program to the upside. But if not, then I expect market to trade into this support level right here. This will be my next word point of interest. All right, this will be my next point of interest. Now, why am I not expecting market to come to SC candle? The reason is simple. On 4-hour time frame, which you can see right here, after this break of structure, right here, after this break of structure, market gave a clear trade away from this area, like it trade away from this area. So this trade away, which is a distance, that shows that market is not willing to come back for this again. And this other leg right here mitigate this other block right here or sponsored candle. So this shows that we're expecting a bullish expansion to the upside. Right, that is one major thing you should understand as a trader. That's one major thing you should understand. But before we go deeply into this technical side of the market, we look at the news we have today. Since I didn't update it on my Telegram channel, all right, the news we have today. So we look into the news we have today. So on the news part today, which is on Thursday, okay. So first thing is this: we have holiday on Euro from France and Germany, French and Germany holiday, even on chef Swiss franc. All right. So with this holiday on Euro, but not all Euro bank, but this shows that there will be less volatility in the market. All right. That shows there will be less volatility in the market. Since there will be less volatility in the market, what should we expect? That means it's like USD will likely not be strong enough. So we monitor more on GBPUSD, gold, BTC, these other pairs. We monitor these other pairs the more, right? These are the pairs we monitor more. So you can see at this bottom side, that is our um, news folder for today. Now, another news we have is one is a preliminary GDP for US unemployment claim. These are the two major news we have today. All right, these are two major news we have today on USD, and that news is what on GPB, which is BOE government barely speaks. All right, it's kind of like news. So if the news come out positive, that can affect GPB either to strengthening it or to weaken the pair. Right, that is one thing it can do. It can weaken it or it can strengthen the pair. So go back to, since we have this news in mind, all right. And another thing is you can check the folder right here, all right, to see how the news did before. If the news will come out likely come out positive, and if it will likely come out negative, to see the forecast and everything, so that you can at least trade in advantage of that news. So one of the major thing I do is this: you look at their history, right? Their last history, the forecast, the previous, right? This was the forecast. This is the previous right here. So when you look at this from February 27, 2025, when you look at it from the previous here, almost the same, or let's say the same, right? It's actually the forecast and previous are always the same. The actual number right here only varies around August. That was in 2024. Okay, so this news shows you that most of the times forecast is always right. Right? Forecast is always right. And when you look at it, um it's only once that it has failed. That was February 2024 as of last year. Okay, so this shows you the advantage is that it always come out positive or the same. So if this come out positive or the same, what will happen to USD pairs? What will happen to USD pairs is this: you go back to the currency, let's say for example on Euro USD. Okay, on Euro USD, since Euro USD is buying now, right? And I'm currently in this buy around here. I did this entry this early in the morning right here. So since Euro USD is buying currently, the next thing you expect of price, since the news will that come out to be the same or a little bit higher based on the history, that means we're expecting USD to give us a pullback, all right? A short-term pullback, the upside. That's one thing we will expect on Euro USD. Short-term pullback, the upside. So there are two things it will do. That short-term pullback, because it will come out with the same, or if it come out to be positive, then it will push price down into this level. And this level is called a proportion block, right? Market created this little range right here before breaking this major low. So this low right here had price before market breaks structure or before breaking this high. Okay, so this is a good base candle. It hold price down. This little range hold price down. So this is what a good base candle. So if I'm to look out for trade right here, I did a short-term refinement on lower time frame. That is how I got this little area. Just like I said in our last session, sometimes I don't refine, sometimes I refine. If I decide to refine the POY, or let's use this as an example or as a case study for refinement. So we refine this on lower time frame. Let's use like 1 hour time frame to refine this. If possible, we might go lower. So the first thing is this. This is a short-term break of structure to the downside right here, right? Short-term break of structure to the downside right here also. Okay. Now having these two things in mind, the market created this range before breaking of this high. So that is what make this area a solid level. But at the same time, we have a vacuum block just right below this low. Right? A vacuum block, which market can come and fill. Right? Market can come and fill this level. But this level, I don't consider it to be my high priority level. It will be my secondary POI, even if it's below. So this will be my primary POI because it's a proportion block that obey the rules of price, right? It obey the rules of structure. So since it obeyed the rules of structure, the first thing market did here is this. Market created this little range right here. This little range right here. And the range reject the last support level right here, or the resistance level right here. The body of this little range did not close above this resistance level. So this shows a plain area of interest that you can refine as your POI. Right? If this level is not here, maybe I would have picked this imbalance, but within this range. If this level is not here, I would have picked this imbalance within this range. But this will be my refined point of what interest. If I even want to take it down further, right, I can even go to 5 minutes or 15 minutes to refine this zone. Right, I can go to 15 minutes or 5 minutes to refine this zone. So this will be my major zone. So the short-term buy this morning is just for market to fill this news movement by FMC as of yesterday. News came out yesterday, right? That push price downward. So that is that. So after this filling of this gap, market can use the news to push price down to get to this level before we see higher prices. Before we see higher prices, that is one major thing you should expect. Now, we go back to 84. So this is the refined POI, which can also, if you want to refine it even further without going to lower time frame, another way to refine it is this. Since you have this level right here, right? Since you have this level right here, so you can use this support level right here, this support level right here, then reduce this to this support level. Sometimes you can miss this entry when you over refine it like this. You can miss this type of entry, but if you want to refine it like this can help you get a perfect entry. If you want to use limit order to take this type of entry, which you can, the stop loss will be, let's say, since I don't want to refine it more than this, if I want to refine it more than this, I can go to minutes time frame to refine it even further. Okay, so but this can lead us for this sort of movement right here, which is around 1:30. Right, 1:30 trade. If you don't want to refine it even further, so if you want to leave it like this is around let's say approximately 7.8, approximately 8 pips. Okay, so that is one thing you should understand. So let me show you what I mean, since we are on the other folder for a long now. Okay, so I don't want this my camera to cover anything. Okay, so like I said, if you want to refine it, this is what you will have at that support level. Okay, which will be approximately 8 pips against 30 pips RR. If you want to take this trade, and if you even want to target more, so the next thing is what, do we have any proportion block or reclaim block? Answer is no. We only have imbalance right here. So we have one imbalance right here, which is this. So if you want to even target higher, this can help you. After targeting external liquidity or targeting this high as your first target, then this as second, this can be your third take profit. All right, this can be your third take profit. If market push price lower, that is the first thing you should do. And since USD is bullish for a long, this can also mean that you can target external liquidity, okay, which will be almost 1:50 or 1:49. But let's just say 1:50. Okay, so around 1:50, if market offers us this opportunity. If market offers this opportunity, that will be around 1:50. So this is one of the major trade I'm monitoring. But the main thing is what, based on what we deduce from the news, we understand that the news can push price down. Since the news most of the times always come out accurate. When they come out accurate, what can happen in what can happen in price? What can happen in price is that market can weak up and down, or it can, how will I put it now? Market can kind of like spike, right? It can spike up and down most of the times when the forecast and the actual are the same. It can spike up and down, especially if the news has strength but the forecast is the same. All right, it can spike up and down or go in the positive direction of that pair. So in the case of USD now, if the news come out positive and higher than expected or higher than the forecast, we expect what, a down movement. We expect market what, to price down. But at the same time, we have two news at the same time. So we'll go back to that news. We'll use it again to analyze this again, so that we see what we expect of price. So we'll go back to that news. We see what we expect of price. Okay, so we look at the news again. Just a few minutes, then we'll come back right here. Okay, so let me reduce this forest factory right here. So the next thing now we expect of price is this. Since the code report based on this one, we have checked this one now, so we can get back to check unemployment claim. All right, unemployment. We have two news here. So if this one come out positive, this one come out negative. That can also cause spike in the market. That's one thing. That's why most of the times people don't trade um, news like CPI, news like NFP, because this news is not one. It can be up to three or two minimum. So most of the times, this one will come out negative, this one come out positive, or this one come out negative, this one come out as actual. All right, that is based on the forecast. So this can cause market to spike. So that is why most people or most advanced traders don't trade that type of news. So here we have unemployment claim. So we look at it, we look into it right here. So unemployment claim based on the last previous report, forecast and actual, right? Forecast and actual, which you can see right here, which are the two major things we'll be focusing on right now. So on May 22, 2025, May 15, 2025, and May 8, even on May 1st, all right, based on the last previous data. So we see from here, it came out positive. Here also negative. It came out negative here. Here the same. Here negative. So with this shows that there is no much gap, but at the same time, if you take the overall, that is the average, is leaning on the negative part of the market. It's leaning on the negative, and based on this tariff, that is why it's happening like this. So with this, you can have it in mind that this will likely come out negative again. And this is unemployment claim, which I believe you understand. So it will likely come out negative again. And US at the current moment, the economy is getting stronger gradual by gradual. So with that in mind, you will expect this to also come out negative. So if this come out negative and this come out positive, this will create a spike in the market, or it will learn more on the GDP part of it, which is if GDP come out positive, we see down movement in price. So having that in mind, so with that in mind, then we can remove this middle. Okay, so with that in mind now, since we understand that, we expect USD to buy. But for today, we'll come back to for today's program. So right here, this is why I bought this morning, which is around here. I took my entry right here. So the first thing is what this 15 minutes time frame we have engulfing, right? Market engulf this high. Market engulf this short-term high right here. So after this engulfing, after this short-term engulfing in price, the next thing price did was this. It created a short-term high, a low, a high again. Right after this high did not engulf this little high right here. So this make this inducement low, early inducement low. So with that in mind, then we'll have a fresh support level right here. And if you decide to refine this, which I won't do here, okay, then you will have this as your point of what interest. So this is why I took this entry right here. And another reason why I took this entry is because of this liquidity void. So they were selling pressure right here without no buying pressure at all. So since market engulfed this shows intensity that market is what coming to feel it. So with that alone, then you have gotten a directional short-term directional bias, not a long-term directional bias, short-term directional bias. So I expected market to what give us this buy program. So after that, if market now get to this, another reason is this: we have a short-term consolidation right here on this time frame. So you can see this as consolidation or early accumulation, which is in terms of Wyckoff, this is clearly accumulation phase. Okay, so any of the phase you use, this is surely accumulation phase. So after accumulation, we had this type of smart money footprint, or this type of movement price. So with this movement down here, we expect market to give us a bullish expansion. So with let's say about 2 or 3 model supporting this buy program, 2 or 3 model is supporting this buy program. So this is the manipulation phase, which I do use this color. I do use this color for manipulation. Okay. Now, if I'm sending this type of setup, I will likely set my stop loss right below this low. Now, the reason why I do it most of the times, if I'm sending it maybe for my community or for public, I do something like this. Why? Because if, let's say for example, I don't do it like that, most people, like a lot of people, can make unnecessary mistakes. You will see people, because I did something like this, so they don't know that maybe based on their own broker, that there's a manipulation that can happen on their own broker, and so on and so forth. And there are sometimes those manipulation can decide to trigger this stop loss. All right, it can trigger this stop loss, but on trading view it didn't trigger it, or on FSM it didn't trigger it, or on Wando it didn't trigger it. So those type of little manipulation, if you don't kind of try to avoid it, some people will tag you names. All right, some people will tag you names. So that's most of the times you will see me do something like this. But if I want to use my actual stop loss, I will do something like this low, and I don't set it exactly at this low. You will always see me either 1 pips or 2 pips. If I want to set it at this low, except I'm the only one taking that trade, I don't want to share it to anyone. I don't want to share it with either student or non-student. All right, I will do it like this. I will just set my stop loss like this, and especially if I'm using my ICM broker. If I'm using ICM, then I'll set my stop loss like this, because you hardly see ICM manipulate that much. Now that does not mean that they don't manipulate, but using brokers that can, maybe I won't call it manipulation, all right, because they are third party brokers. Okay, so because they are third party brokers, it can happen to them like that. So you always what take precaution and set your stop loss just right below the actual low. So if I'm taking this trade, this will be my first target right here, especially the where this manipulation start from, which is this low. Okay, that would be my first target, just like what I did here. So that would be my first target. After that, the next target is the external high, which is this, or the consolidation or accumulation high. So after accumulation high, if market decide to continue buying, okay, then break maybe H4 structure, perfect. That is to my own advantage. So this can be what a good trade one can take, or a good trade one can look into. So that is one. But we'll go back and look at GBP USD. So that is another major pair we'll be looking into today, before we go back to BTC and gold. So on GBP USD, okay, I had two points of interest. One of the point of interest we had, which was from the last live session we had on YouTube here, was here. Okay, we did a short-term refinement around somewhere here, and we refined that zone. So which was where market bought around here. This little short-term movement here before market blew through it. Okay, so that was the first buy point of interest we had. And after that, this was another point of interest. Why this is the point of interest I marked from the weekly commentary, right? The point of interest I marked from weekly commentary, and I said before we'll be looking for that, for this low. That means we expect market to take this low. And at the current moment, based on mitigation, this is also a major structure range. This structure range is also a major structure range. So having that as a major structure range, and this sharp movement right here, okay, the only thing is I didn't take this entry right here. Okay, I didn't take this entry. Now the reason why I didn't take it, I will also explain that on 15 minutes time frame. It's still the same process. So right here we have engulfing right here, but there's no inducement. There's no low that market need to induce apart from this low. So, and if I'm using this low as my liquidity, I need confirmation. So there's no confirmation. Even if market break this high, it didn't come back for RTO to continue buying. So that is not a clear confirmation I was looking at. So that is why I didn't take this trade. It's quite simple. And this trade, we discussed it in the last live session for this sell program. So that is what you have to understand right there. So this is my refined point of interest from this level, this candle right here, which is another base candle, proportion block right here, just like the one we marked on EURUSD for a buy program. That is still the same trade that market is using to buy here, a proportion block. So it's clear. So with that in mind, if the news come out positive, it will likely push price down, okay, possibly into this range before you buy continuation to the upside. So for me on GBPUSD, I'm expecting what buy continuation to the upside from this structure range. I'm not expecting it to come back to this area, except there's a high maybe CPI, FMC, major FMC, all right, not the type of CPI that happened yesterday. So we need major FMC that can push price downward like here. If not, I'm expecting what a bullish program until price violate it. So if not, my bias remain bullish. The reason is from the code report. Code report is still telling us that GPP is stronger than what USD. If GPP is stronger than USD, that means after this short pullback right here, we can have what the low of the week right here for a short-term buy program. All right, so that is why I'm expecting this bullish continuation right there. So that is that, and if you look at it on daily time frame, this is forming a CRT reversal. So if this candle close bullish or close below, it didn't close below this low, that shows strength or willingness for price to go higher. So with that CRT, you can have this high. Okay, you can have this high. If you even come on this daily time frame, this is clearly a daily support level, which can push price higher to make a higher high. So this is external liquidity right there. So here I won't share the code report since I've already discussed it in our last weekly commentary. Okay, if not, maybe we'll have discussed it right here, but we have discussed that in the last weekly commentary. So having that in mind, this can be what your CRT high and possibly this high. So if you look at it on weekly time frame, it's forming a CRT, but this week can decide to close bullish, right? This week can decide to close bullish. We have today, we also have tomorrow. So this week can decide to close bullish. So having that in mind, that is the full explanation on USD and on EURUSD in terms of what the technical and fundamental part of the market. So let's look at I've discussed this a little, but we'll come back to this again. But let's look at BTC first. So on BTC, just like I said earlier, so the first thing is what had early consolidation right here. So this will be like first a recap before what happened. Okay, we have a consolidation right here. So having this as early consolidation or a distribution phase, a consolidation or a distribution phase. So it distributed to the downside, which is this. After that, we had a short-term break of structure right here. This break of structure, or before this break of structure, I updated this. This will be what a buy program. So having this as a buy program. Now another thing is this. Some people do ask me a question like, okay, you consider this to be a consolidation, but you don't consider this to be a consolidation. Answer is yes. So there's a difference between consolidation and consolidation. So there are some that are reversal, there are some that are consolidation. Okay, so that's just the main thing right there. So when you see consolidation, most of the times, once I know that this is a consolidation, I will always target the high of that structure range. I will target the high of that structure range. That is my first TP or the first little high where the manipulation started, which is this. Targeting this high as my first target. After that, then target the major high before the external high. Now, the reason why you will target this high is not simply based on this model, right? It's based on structure range. And if you look at structure range on BTC, this is a break of structure to the upside. Here, this is inducement or range structure inducement, not clearly a break of structure to the downside. It's a short-term break of structure for market to trade into this level. So until market violate the structure range low, I won't be bullish on, I won't be bearish on BTC. So that means structure is still intact on BTC. And when you look at it even deeper, since market broke this, all right, broke this high, we had a higher high, a higher low, a higher high. But this higher high, one thing you will learn in this Zoom session is what we call engulfing. So this high was not engulfed with body. When it's engulfed with body, that low become major low for me. Okay, it become a major low. So if that low is not engulfed, I don't consider that to be a major low. All right. So the next thing we expect of price is this. Since it did not engulf it, boom, market can come and induce it as what? Liquidity. Market can induce it as liquidity. So that is one major thing you should understand as a trader. So with that in mind, so we'll continue. Since this can be inducement, and here we'll have support level or SC candle, market can decide to buy from here. All right, market can buy from this structure range, and we'll have a short-term break of structure to the upside right here. So we'll have a short-term break of structure to the upside right here. So that is that. Please give me a moment. I'm coming back. Okay. Continue. We'll continue from there. So having that in mind, that can lead for bullish expansion, which is this. And if you want to refine it on lower time frame, but if I don't want to refine and I want to take entry, I'll just mark this range. All right. Since there's no imbalance right here, this low right here, this little low right here, I will consider it to be what? Major point of interest. Since it doesn't have imbalance. That's one thing. It doesn't have imbalance, so I won't consider that to be a major point of interest. So this will be my major point of interest. So when you go to like 5 minutes time frame, if you want to refine it even further, look at it. We have anything like proportion block. All right, and this high, the resistance level of it on this time frame, it engulf it a little. So this candle right here, this white candle right here, it can be your POI. So having that white candle as your POI, you can use it as an entry. But just like I always say, even if you take this as what your entry, so this low can be induced. Sometimes it won't be induced. So that's why I won't kind of like place my entry just right below it. I'll place my entry exactly at that point of interest upon taking that trade. Then I'll place my stop loss right below this low. All right, my stop loss will likely be around here, just a little pips below this low. All right, a little pip below this low. That will be my um stop loss. Okay, now having that in mind, so having that in mind, we can now expect what? Bullish expansion, the upside. All right, we can now expect a bullish expansion, the upside from there. Since market is still bullish, so this can be a major move. This was the one we discussed in the live session we did, which will refine the point of interest, just like how we did for today. We'll refine the point of interest. If market will likely buy, that this will be our next point of interest. And I marked the reason and how we refine the point of interest just around here. but we didn't place our stop loss below it. Even if we place our stop loss below it, market won't hit our stop loss. But based on precaution and all, you always place your stop loss just at the support level right here to avoid market taking you out. Except this low will be your point of what interest. This low will be your point of interest. Then that means there's no reason for you taking this as what your point of interest. Then your stop loss will be this low, but little bit below it, right? If you are placing a trade on your account. So this will be what a clean trade, bullish expansion for market to make a higher high. All right. So let me download it. Okay. This can be what a clean trade for a bullish continuation to the upside. You can target this little high as your first TP if you take this trade. Then this second TP, this as third. So you always see me do it. I don't kind of like because I mark this as my TP, then I will take my whole TP here. No, I can take almost 70% off from here, then almost 95% off here, only remaining maybe 5% or even 2%, if possible 1% remaining here, right? If possible 1%. So that means even if this trade did not hit target, it hit my break even, I won't value it or I won't feel it. That's one thing I do. So once market hit my first target, I make sure I take enough profit. I take the right profit that is needed. So let me make this visible on hourly time frame. Okay, so that is that on this trade. So this can be what a good bullish continuation to the downside since structure is still bullish, and this is our minor break of structure. All right, here inducement, you can write it out as your inducement, or if you call it liquidity, no problem. But that is clearly an inducement, and the reason why it's an inducement, no engulfing to the upside. So it's clearly what inducement. So right here, the same thing right here, this little low inducement, but I won't place my entry below it based on what refinement. Except you refine it on higher time frame like this, that's when you can have this point of interest. Let's say something like this, because there's no imbalance right here. You can place your entry right here. But if you refine it on lower time frame, you understand the reason why you can place it like this, because sometimes you just hit this level and continue buying. So it will be like a sniper entry, but apparently it's not a sniper entry. You were lucky at that point. Sometimes it will go deep like this. Okay, so that is one thing about trading. So let's look at good again. So on good, here is our major point of interest where we'll buy from. But it can continue buying from here. If today close bullish, then from tomorrow we will start buying. But until then, I'm not buying good. I don't gamble good with my account. All right. So there you will see me sometimes. I won't trade good for like a week. Why? Because it's not presenting what I understand. If it doesn't present what I understand, I don't trade it. I don't gamble my account with. If it's before, I can do that. But now, since would I say disciplined enough, right? I won't do that with my account. So until it provides what I understand, I won't play with my account. That's why sometimes you see me, I won't update good maybe more than a week because it's not presenting what I understand. So right here, if you are to refine this zone even further, so what will you do? First thing is this: this zone have imbalance? Answer is yes. So you note that imbalance first. That's the first thing you will note, right? The imbalance. So after noting this imbalance right here, which is this. Okay, let me use this. So this is the imbalance. Why this is from daily time frame. So let's remove that first. So after noting this imbalance, then note something. We'll have a high here. This low right here was taken out. Okay, this low right here was taken out. That is the next thing you will note. Okay, so that means there's a small structure before market break it. So the small structure, what had the small structure? This area, or this small structure had this little area, I might to say. So you can have this as a point of interest. But what if market decide to get to this area without tapping into this level? Since you are refining it and start buying, so you can even go further to maybe 15 minutes time frame to refine it again, right? But if you are refining maybe daily point of interest, you can just use 1 hour time frame. If you are refining it, if you don't want to refine it further, using 1 hour time frame is best. 4 hours time frame 15 minutes, 1 hour time frame 5 minutes, right? 15 minutes time frame 3 minutes, or a minute time frame 5 minutes time frame, minutes time frame. If you are refining it like that, right? So right here you come again. Do we have any uh, another proportion block on this time frame? We can see it. Okay, so we even go further again to look into that area. So which is this area. So when you come to this time frame, market broke this low. That means this little low right here was created after breaking this low. So that is clearly a reclaim block. Okay, from ICT, which I believe you understand. That is reclaim block. But we also have proportion block right here. Alright, it had this little structure range held price down here. So having this, that means this little range is out of the equation in terms of refinement, is out of the equation. This little range is out of the equation. Since this little range is out of the equation, you can pick your PY just right below it. Okay, but if you pick the high of it, it will enter this little range, right? Just like this. You refine it like this. Okay, you refine your point of interest like this. So if you want to refine it further, you use this reclaim block as your refine zone. But sometimes you can just tap into this level at this level without even taking this low out, just almost equal with this low and continue buying. That can happen. So as a trader, you should be aware of that. So this market low might or might not be induced. So having that in mind, so that means if you are taking this entry without refinement, but this is good. So taking the entry exactly at this level is risky. Okay, this will be around, it's too high. Okay, this is around 113 pips. So you can do something like this. All right, if avoid market taking you out, refine this to this. So based on mitigation rule, this low has mitigate this low. Okay, so you can have something like this. But on your broker, your stop loss will likely be this low because of manipulation. Okay, so you have something like this, which is around 70 pips, which is also high, very very high. Okay, though on some brokers, this 70 pips is around 70 pips, it's around 7 pips. All right, or some brokers, but here this is absolutely ridiculous. So if you even want to refine it further to avoid some unnecessary mistakes, this looks like what, another proportion block here. Okay, instead of using this, you just place it this, you just use this level right here. So having this as your next POI, you can now place your stop loss just right here, which is around 7 pips, having this as your target. All right, so this will now make more sense. Let's just adjust it to this side and use this to trace our level. Okay, so if you are refining it, you will just remove this to refine that particular zone, but this is a lot of work. So instead of doing this, you can just mark out your point of interest, wait for confirmation, boom, you take your entry, even if your point of interest is wide. So just wait for confirmation, then you buy. But if not, this can be what, a major point of interest if you're taking this trade. All right. So this would be your refined point of interest, which is around 87 pips. All right. So this can be, let's say, around the kind. If you place your stop loss around this low, around 30, exactly around 30 pips, which is quite. If market work out that way, it will be insane. All right. Your target will also be the same. Your target will also be the same, which is this high, this high, and this high. But you don't just target this high as your first target. You should have that at the back of your mind. So if there's any consolidation or any consolidation right here, or the reversal phase high, then you can target that reversal phase high as your first profit or as your first take profit. If it's not up to this level, maybe it's around here or around this support level right here. So if it's around this support level right here, which is this, you can now expect a buy program. Okay, so after this first take profit, boom, break of structure, buy continuation, second TP, third. If you want to even hold it, you can hold it with just a mini lot size for external liquidity, for discipline's sake. All right, but kind of like holding everything without taking any profit at all. That means you are not yet a trader. So you will likely be repeating the cycle. It will look like you make money tomorrow or today. Tomorrow, you will not make any money. Almost, let's say, 2 days, you will not make any money. So that means you are not disciplined enough at that point. So you should know how to take profit. It's very, very important as a trader. So knowing how to take profit is another major tool as a trader that you should develop. So that is just it. So we'll be running up in next 5 minutes. So that means today's live session is just about an hour session. Okay. So we have this on good BTC, the same thing, bullish expansion. On USD, I still expect, if possible, if this buy get to this level, then the market decide to start selling, we can have a buy continuation, a buy program from here. Okay, we can have a buy program from here to the upside. But one thing you should notice is this: it can decide to what, get to this level and buy without getting to this reference zone. So you can miss entry if you are over refining it like this. So that's why sometimes I wait for entry or confirmation before market get to my point of interest. Then I can take that trade. Another one is this, which is already happening. So I have this as my point of interest or as my last point of interest within this range. Okay, that's my last point of interest within this. So that means I'm expecting market to continue buying to the upside, or if you decide to value this low, we expect market to get to this level before buy continuation to the upside. So these are the four major pairs we looked into today into this live session, and this should I say the third live session since this year. All right, the first one was very short. It was very, very short. That was when we discussed this, and I didn't announce it in the channel because it was my testing phase for it. Okay, I didn't announce it in the channel, so that was when we discussed this first trade right here. Okay, which we discussed. It was this first one, and it lasted just for a few minutes. So before the second one, which was on Tuesday. Okay, after that, this is our third live session. So that is all for today. Good luck and peace.